see what's happening inside the conference hall itself. And my colleague David Porter is in there. David, how's it looking?
It's looking pretty full in here at the moment, Brian. I think that is one of the things that most people have thought, that perhaps compared to SNP conferences of the past, there are more delegates here, there are more representatives here who are at the conference. Saying that, there are a few empty chairs there, but they, I'm sure, will have filled up for the keynote address this afternoon, which will be from the Health Minister, Nicola Sturgeon. That is coming up in about 40 minutes' time. At the moment, the conference is discussing topical resolutions. We'll be discussing the proposals for post offices in a few minutes, plans announced by the Royal Mail this week to actually close them. At the moment, though, we're on a debate about fair trade and what can be done to promote fair trade. The speaker at the rostrum at the moment is Malcolm Fleming from Glasgow.
Farmers of Ethiopia are getting a raw deal. If you buy a coffee in a high street shop or a cafe for £1.80, you can be sure that the coffee farmer who produced that gets a maximum of 5 pence per coffee, probably less. So while multinational companies rake in the profits, families and communities are struggling to make ends meet and even send their children to school. Now, why is this topical? Well, today in Edinburgh, the Fair Trade Forum, the Scottish Fair Trade Forum, is launched. It brings together a grassroots movement of fair trade from throughout Scotland, community groups, businesses, NGOs and government, trying to make Scotland one of the world's first fair trade nations. Now, what does that mean? We believe that must be a meaningful title, not just a feel-good label for us Scots. It may take years to achieve. And it's not just about individual consumers. Public procurement budget in Scotland is £8 billion. How many of our MSPs or councillors have explored the supply chains of that procurement and have considered whether they are ethical? So that our councillor colleagues, I urge you to do that in your own councils. I urge our elected representatives to start asking the difficult questions. Are the bed sheets on the NHS beds in Scotland made from fair trade cotton or from cotton that has exploited workers? Are garment workers who manufacture uniforms for public servants in Scotland being exploited? Are labour rights set by the International Labour Organisation being broken? Far too often they are. The Fair Trade Nation concept has the support of the Scottish Government and of the Minister responsible for development, Linda Fabiani. But I urge all ministers and MSPs and councillors and members to support this motion and consider what they can do. For I repeat, it's about justice, not charity. It's about workers' rights, and this is a party that has always stood up for workers' rights. It's about allowing people the dignity of working their own way out of poverty. Please support this motion. Thank you.
That motion on fair trade being introduced by Malcolm Fleming, and he mentioned that the Fair Trade Forum was meeting in Edinburgh today. Incidentally, it is meeting in the Scottish Parliament, the first time that an outside organisation has been allowed to do that. We'll return to the hall a little bit later on, but now let's cross once again to Brian.
David, thanks very much indeed.